These people love to pretend that they are real fucking patriots who give a shit about the law when they actively voted for a rapist, a pedophile, and a felon. Like, let's just call it what it is. You are a piece of shit. You are a piece of shit. You don't give a fuck about the law. Because if you did, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Dude, where are you? Pick up your phone. I'm going to a summer party tonight, and you're obviously invited, so call me back. Okay, I love you. Bye.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to Emotionally Online, the weekly summer party for heart-to-hearts and hot gossip, hosted by your favorite girl with a full head of purple hair and a Lexapro prescription. It's me, Maddie Drosbeck, and today's episode is probably going to be an intense one, as many of my recent episodes have been, because that is what the world has required of me. Someone actually commented on the Spotify episode last week, because I do read the Spotify comments as well, remarking about how this show is a beautiful blend of education and funny business, which I take as such a high compliment. That's obviously kind of my intention with this show. Half heart to hearts, half hot gossip. We indulge in some reflection, some more serious chats about what we're reflecting on, how we're moving through the world, what we're observing. And then, of course, I love a good pop culture chat. I love some reality TV gossip. I like to be silly goofy. I love to do a bit. I love to beat a dead horse. I saw a reel on Instagram this weekend that was like, okay, fuck, marry, kill, beating a dead horse, getting off your high horse, or holding your horses. And to me, the answer is incredibly obvious. And it's that I'm marrying beating a dead horse 100% of the time. There is nothing I love more than beating a conversation topic into the ground. I do it every week when we talk about AI. Like, there's nothing I love more than harping and going around in circles and talking about the same shit over and over again and looking at my besties while we all just affirm each other. And we're like, dude, fuck. Yes, you are so right, girl. And I believe everything you've ever said. Like, I am so in your corner. So true. Okay. It's the so true effect. What I'm going to fuck, and this may surprise some of you, but what I'm going to fuck is holding your horses, because sometimes it's good to take a beat. Sometimes we've got to take a pause. We've got to take a moment of reflection, a little bit of silence, a little moment of solace in our solitude, okay? Holding your horses, sometimes awesome. What I'm going to kill is getting off your high horse. Getting off my high horse specifically. Have we considered that I want to be on the high horse? Have we considered that maybe for too long women have not been on their high horses? Maybe the time is nigh for women to be on their high horses, no? So I say we stay on the high horse. Okay, I think she's a winner. I think the high horse is going to win the race in the long run. And some of these bitches need to be bullied. And you know exactly which bitches I'm talking about, and I'm going to shit talk them in a little bit. Okay, don't you worry. We got range in today's episode. To kick off the episode on an extremely lighthearted note, I wanted to let you in on a conversation my friends and I were having the other day that has ignited some creative inspiration. It's been oiling up my creative wheels, and I need to get you guys into the brainstorm. We're having a little creative powwow, a meeting, if you will. Okay, everyone join the Zoom call. This is a Lover Girls Worldwide international meeting of the minds. Okay, here's the pitch. So often we have these months that people designate a new name, like Dry January or No Nut November. And most of them have to do with restriction in some way, which is not always a bad thing. Sometimes, it's good to take a little break from things, restrict yourself for a designated period of time if that is helpful to you in some way. But I also think that on the other end of things, we have some room to experiment with some months that celebrate and emphasize excess and getting a little indulgent with it. So I've taken the liberty of doing some brainstorming, if you will, and I've come up with a couple, but one really stands out to me above the rest that I think could even be a good transition into No Nut November, and that is Only Oral October. Guys, what have we been doing? We've been focused on the wrong promotions. Only Oral October, and by Only Oral October, I mean I am only receiving oral for the whole month. If I really loved you, maybe I'd reciprocate, but I just think that don't women deserve something? Listen, if that's not resonating with you, I've also got Just Jizzing January. Let's throw that out there. You've heard of No Nut November. Wait till you get a load of Just Jizzing January. Literally. Holy shit. Okay. We're cooking. No. And they don't all have to be masturbation and sex centered. I just think I was inspired by No Nut November because I can't fathom why anyone would ever want to do that. You've heard of No Nut November, okay? And I'm here to tell you, you do not need to feel guilty about masturbating, queen. Keep at it. Keep nutting. Nutting November. Okay, rebrand. Just drop the no. Only Oral October is really resonating with me, though. I just think that maybe we need some more fun months. And at the end of the day, people like a challenge. And for a lot of people, the challenge is in the restriction of something. But I actually think there is a lot of people that could benefit from the challenge of indulgence and actually taking a moment to prioritize pleasure every single day. I'm not saying that has to be a literal orgasm, but it could be. But it could be. Nutting November. Only Oral October. Something to think about. Everyone just give it a think. Okay, I have a take that is maybe going to get called too woke, but I don't care. I don't care because I've been thinking about this a lot, and maybe this is my too woke take of the fucking month. I don't give a shit. My too woke take of the month came about when I was watching Finn Wolfhard's SNL monologue. He was on SNL. He hosted like 2 weeks ago or something. Do you know what I'm going to say? Did you see this clip too? Have you thought about this at all? I have thought about this at multiple points. My too woke take of the month is that I don't find it funny when men make jokes about how gross and scary and disgusting women's vaginas / labia are. I don't find that funny. I don't. I actually think that it is so deeply fucking unfunny. And it makes me mad. It does. And I know people immediately hear a take like this and they're like, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. Oh, no one's allowed to make jokes anymore. Oh, is comedy dead? Listen, I like a joke as much as the next person. My line for that, though, is that the joke should be funny. And I think sometimes what makes a joke funny is the person that's delivering the joke. And to me, a man delivering a joke about a vagina being gross and disgusting, whatever else, is never going to be funny, especially within like the context of the world we exist in. I don't know how we can ignore that part of it. But let me backtrack a little bit. This is basically what was said. During Finn's monologue, there was a line where he says, "My first kiss was on camera. And actually, the first time I learned what a woman looks like down there is also on camera." And then they flash to a picture of a Demogorgon with, you know, the head that looks like something peeling apart. And it's just all, you know what a Demogorgon looks like, okay? You've seen it. You know it. I know it. Haha, so funny. The Demogorgon and how terrifying and scary and ugly and bloody and hideous it is. Like, that is what women look like down there. That's crazy. That's so funny, isn't it? Is everyone laughing? Is everyone choking on their laughter from how fucking funny that is? Here's the thing. To me, that would have been funny-er. I still don't know if I'd call it funny, but it would be funny-er if, like, Millie Bobby Brown or Sadie Sink had said it. I think that joke works better if it comes from the mouth of a woman. Because again, like I said, I'm of the opinion that lots of things can be funny. There's lots of jokes that myself or my friends have made about vaginas or periods or whatever else that are funny when we say it, but it's for damn sure not funny if a man says it. But it's funny when we say it because it's commiseration, not misogyny, you know? And like, the joke isn't even funny, period. It's not even worth workshopping and being like, oh, it'd be funnier if it was like this instead. I just think it's a bad joke, period. But if it came from the mouth of one of the women on the show, one of the actresses, the young actresses that grew up on the show, and obviously you then have to shift it. It's not their first time seeing a vagina, but you know, there's surely some jokes there about puberty and periods and whatever. I'm not a comedy writer, so that's not my fucking job to come up with it, but I'm just saying that I don't think it's that funny in the current timeline we're in to have a man make this joke about a Demogorgon looking like a vagina. I just don't think that's funny. I don't find it funny when men joke about how gross and disgusting and scary vaginas are. I think that is always in bad taste. And this isn't even about Finn Wolfhard. This is about a culture that allows lazy comedy writing like this to just go forth and be aired on fucking NBC, on SNL. And everyone hee-hees and ha-has because it's so funny to make jokes about how women are gross. We're all laughing, ha ha ha. The laugh track audience applause light goes off and everyone just goes, ah, ha, 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 ha. It's so funny. It's so funny. Isn't it so funny, everyone? Meanwhile, you've got manosphere podcasters talking about how it's gross to go down on a woman and it's unmanly to do that because it's so gross. Women are literally disgusting. So much of women's health in general is massively under-researched. You spend your whole life being told that you're too emotional and bogged down by menstruation to be as competent as men are. And then to top it all off, you have to go through the ritualistic humiliation of bleeding through every single item of clothing that you own once a month for your entire life. And opting into depression in pill form just to make sure some fucking loser can fuck you raw without feeling like he owes you after. God forbid we owe each other anything afterwards. So no, I don't find it very funny when men make jokes about the appearance or experience of what we look like down there. I don't find that funny. Especially also, I just can't help but think about how many young girls are already insecure about what they look like. And like the image of what pretty labia is supposed to look like, that people end up learning from porn and then judging themselves if they don't look like that, judging other people if they don't look like that. And all of a sudden there's like this hierarchy of what's hot and what's not in terms of what your labia even looks like. I don't know. Obviously that's a topic that doesn't get touched as much because people get so uncomfortable talking about stuff like that. But honestly, it wasn't that long ago. I'm forgetting the details of this, but somebody listening probably remembers. I want to say like 2 years ago, there was some male podcaster that said something about a woman having like an outie vagina and like making fun of her, shaming her for having an outie. That was relatively recent, whatever that was. Again, I'm blanking on all the information and details that go along with that story, but surely if we're on the same side of the internet, you saw that too when that happened a couple years ago. Like, we are actively living in a timeline where there are many misogynistic fucking losers online that genuinely think that it is justifiable to say things like that about women's labia and make fun of them and what they look like, and if they're not perfectly in alignment with what they've seen women's bodies look like in porn. The internet is full of men that talk to women like that. No, I don't think it's funny to make that joke. Like, I feel like being like, read the room. But then the second I'm like, that joke's not funny, I feel like you get the two woke people that are like, oh, we can't even joke anymore. We're not even allowed to freaking make jokes. And it's like, well, you can. Maybe just be funny. Have we considered that you're just not fucking funny? I can't. I don't know. Who's with me? Like, am I on an island here? I just feel like there's so many shitty opinions around the topic of what women's labia looks like specifically. Men shouldn't have an opinion on this, period. Let's say that first. I don't know. I just see men being losers about this kind of stuff online all the time. So no, I don't find it funny when SNL airs a joke like this and the whole audience laughs like it's fucking funny. Who's laughing? What are you laughing at? What's the joke? Anyways, that's my maybe too woke take of the month. Labia looks all kind of ways. Totally fine that it looks however it does. And it's not scary or disgusting or gross just because it exists and you're a woman. And men have voices and microphones and we're forced to listen to them. Like, let's Wake up, America. I want to talk about Minnesota, ICE, and what is happening in the US right now. There's a lot of overwhelming and scary things happening in the US right now, so much so that I'm sure there are some of you listening that have been too overwhelmed to consume a lot of the news or really keep up with what's going on. And I hear you. Take care of yourself and your brain. And big and there, it's important that we clock in and we keep ourselves armed with information as this situation progresses. Trump was elected in 2024. And over the course of his first year back in office, we've seen the lengths that this administration will go to bring the plan that they set forth in Project 2025 to fruition. Things were bad, and they are getting worse. So let's talk about Minnesota. Let's talk about ICE. And let's talk about kind of what's happening nationwide right now as a whole. So let's just start off with a couple of facts for you. Over 200 people have died in ICE custody since 2003. Quick reminder, many people in ICE custody are average, everyday Americans with no criminal record. They're just not white Americans. And many of these deaths can be attributed to various untreated medical conditions or just delayed care in general. ICE detains between 30 and 40,000 people per day. 70% of detainees are held in private for-profit prisons, and the average detention lasts weeks to months. Some people have even been held for over a year without being convicted of any crimes. Children are being consistently separated from their families, many of which have still not been reunited because of a basically non-existent record-keeping system that's in place, or rather not in place. And some people are so quick to open their mouths and be like, oh, well, that's just what happens. I guess they should have come here legally. And to that I say, you are fucking weird and you are not listening. Here's my opinion. I don't give a fuck if someone came here legally or illegally. I literally could not give less of a shit. It doesn't matter to me. And Americans can be so deeply self-centered in looking at the experience of immigrants through the lens of their own lived experience and their like hyper nationalistic perspective of what it means to be an American and how blessed we are to live in the greatest country in the world. I genuinely think that these people believe that it is an easy thing to drop everything you've ever known and move to another country. I genuinely think that a lot of these people look at someone seeking asylum in the US as like going on a permanent vacation. They look at someone fleeing their country and coming here because they have to, because they're trying to protect their children to know an easier life than they have known. People that are in crisis seeking asylum, and these people will look at them and be like, they're just coming here on a permanent vacation to take all our jobs and do whatever. Rah, rah, rah. It's not easy to uproot your entire life and move to a different country. And for the people seeking asylum, they're literally in crisis. They don't have time to come here legally because, number two, the immigration system that we have in place is incredibly flawed. And third of all, if your humanity disappears the second you learn someone is here legally or illegally, you have a fucking problem. I don't care if someone is here illegally. They still deserve to be treated like a fucking human. They shouldn't be locked away in detention centers without having committed any crimes. I don't believe that merely existing in the US as someone who wasn't born here is a fucking crime that deserves to be locked up in a detention center and tortured for months to years on end. They shouldn't be put in situations where their children are being separated from them and traumatized just for the sake of proving a point. They shouldn't be denied medical care and neglected just because they weren't born here. Like, are you fucking okay? Well, honestly, the conversation of someone being here legally or illegally doesn't even fucking matter when the mistreatment is so intense the way that this is. You need to look in the mirror and genuinely ask yourself if you are a person that you are proud to be. Because when the treatment of other humans is this fucking abhorrent, I don't give a fuck if someone is here legally or illegally. That doesn't warrant treating a person like that, treating children like that. It's fucking ridiculous. So let's talk a little bit more about ICE and more specifically what the bar to entry is here. ICE enforcement and removal operations officers go through about 13 to 17 weeks of training. Now, that statistic is actually a little bit muddy. It seems, from what I can tell, training started as being 13 to 17 weeks, which is already incredibly fucking low. But it seems that under Trump, that time span has been shortened by an incredibly large amount. There are some reports saying that that time span has been shortened to 8 weeks. There's others that say 6, that it's now at 47 days in honor of the 47th president. There's a lot of conflicting reports on that stuff, so I don't know what the actual truth is. There's people on Reddit that are saying that they know people that have gone through no training at all. Regardless of what the official number is, it's barely anything. The training includes classroom work, firearms, basic defense tactics, and immigration law. That's it. The training is heavily focused on arrest procedures, how to use force to make that happen, transporting them to detention centers, and immigration processing. It takes them just a couple weeks to just a couple months to be given a life or death position of power. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the ads that ICE is running to try to recruit people by offering them like several $1,000 sign-on bonus. It's fucking easy. They say, are you racist and want to carry a gun and shoot it while having the legal system back you up on your choice to do that, even when it makes no fucking sense? Like, come on board. We'll hire ya. We got a job for you here, actually. Where's the training in trauma-informed care? Mental health support, child welfare, even being able to communicate with non-English speakers. Where's that? We don't care about any of that? No? Just how to use a gun and beat people to the ground? Awesome. Yeah. Definitely here to keep our streets safe, you fucking morons. They're not trained to help. They're not trained to help anyone. They're trained to punish anyone that is not white or opposes their belief system in any way by any means necessary. All you need is a U.S. citizenship and to pass a physical fitness test. Listen to somebody talk in a classroom about how to fire a gun for a couple weeks and boom! Get out there, soldier. You are fit to represent our fascist leader in protecting the sanctity of white purity and maintaining power and control at any cost. Good for you. What a beautiful life you have. These people are fucking losers. They have nothing else going for them. They have to feel important in some way, and this is their way to do it. In what other context would we allow this kind of power and authority to be completely unearned, unwarranted, and unchecked? There is no justification for a government to treat its people like this. Absolutely none. I don't give a fuck what anyone did or didn't do. I don't give a shit if someone walked over the border and came here illegally. I don't care. I don't care. And so often, especially within the American education system, Americans will find a way to put space between themselves and our country's history. Again, nationalism runs very deep here. We grow up believing that we are the good guys, that we are all heroes. America the brave, America the great. God bless America. We are the main characters of the world. We love looking at history like we are some kind of perfect hero. And I think when talking about Donald Trump and talking about what's happening with ICE right now and the detention centers popping up around the country, people will make comparisons to World War II and Nazi Germany a lot, which is not an unwarranted connection to make. However, we actually don't have to look that far. We actually don't have to look across the Atlantic to find history to connect this moment to. I understand why the Nazi Germany comparison maybe hits for people who see America as this like perfect country run by people that are here to protect us at any cost and like truly believe that we are the good guys. I get why that comparison is more resonant for people like that, because again, they don't see America, our own history on this soil, as being similar to that in any way. But the truth is that fascism has always had roots here too. And we don't have to look towards other countries to compare what's happening here now, because what's happening here now has happened here before. So what's happening in Minnesota? Obviously, ICE is everywhere, but Minnesota has basically become ground zero for the biggest federal immigration operation in U.S. history. Thousands of immigration officers are patrolling the streets of Minneapolis. Why Minneapolis? Well, a few reasons. Trump hates Minnesota and many politicians there. Tim Walz is, of course, the governor. Ilhan Omar is a Minnesota representative, and there were 2 Minnesota politicians that were shot, one of which was killed alongside her husband not too long ago. Minnesota is a blue state with several high-profile Democratic politicians that fucking hate Trump. And it's a blue state with several less billionaire buddies living in it than, say, California or New York. So targeting Minnesota just makes sense. It sends a clear message. It makes a bigger impact than targeting some of these smaller blue states and cities. But trust that what is happening right now in Minnesota will continue happening in many other cities across the country. This is where it starts. This is not where it will end. It is a threat. He is promising and showing on the world's stage what he will do to people who oppose him. Renee Good was murdered by an ICE agent just a few weeks ago. A 5-year-old boy was detained after his dad came to pick him up at school. ICE had used the child as bait to try to trap the family. And not that this matters to me at all, but the child's father came here legally with an active asylum case and no criminal record. They don't care. Because it's not about who came here legally versus illegally. It's about pushing racist narratives, convincing the undereducated general public that they are here to protect you and serve you and keep murderers and drug dealers off of our streets. These hypothetical bad guys who came to our beautiful, perfect, untouchable USA. Meanwhile, they're detaining a 5-year-old and murdering people for opposing them in any meaningful way. You are being lied to. And if you don't realize it yet, you need to wake up now. I don't know what to tell you. Alex Preddy was murdered in broad daylight on camera just a few days before I'm recording this episode. Alex was an ICU nurse who worked with veterans and spent his final moments trying to help a woman that ICE had pepper sprayed and was targeting. He was standing up to the ICE agents that had done it to her. We all watched on camera as a group of ICE agents wrestled Alex to the ground and shot him multiple times. It was on video, it was all over the internet, and then the Trump administration gets on the fucking news and says that we didn't see what we thought we saw, that this guy was an aggressor and he pulled out a gun and this was a protective measure. They make up bullshit. They change the story because they know that many of their supporters don't fucking care at this point and will believe anything they say mindlessly. We've seen it for years now. The federal government of the United States is executing people. That is what's happening. Call it what it is. They are lying about who ICE is targeting, about the circumstances surrounding children being abducted, about the brutalization of protesters and anyone who dares disagree with them in any way, about the conditions in the detention centers, the concentration camps that they've been putting people in. They are lying about all of it. And there are many Americans that still are burying their head in the sand about all of this. Not to mention, it is insane that they thought going for the, oh, we had a gun on him angle was going to work, given that, number one, we saw the video and we saw that he did not pull a gun in the video. Number two, he was legally allowed to be carrying the gun. Republicans have been yelling about how it's fine to be armed with a gun fucking everywhere for the last decade. You guys were rallying to have teachers carrying guns in schools, and now you're mad that this guy's armed at a fucking protest? He didn't even pull it! It's been so important to you to have lax gun laws so you can have 40 fucking semi-automatic weapons at your disposal whenever you want. You don't want any regulations at all, and this guy on the opposite team's got a legal registered handgun. And suddenly you're like, well, he's a threat. We had to kill him. You are fucking brainwashed. And we haven't even touched the conversation of the alleged sexual torture that's happening at these detention centers. Exactly what we thought would happen is actively happening. Most days, I just feel this immense amount of rage and frustration not understanding what people aren't getting, feeling just like it's so obvious to see what's happening and it's actually so easy to care about the well-being of other people. It makes me feel violent when people act like any of this can be justified in any way. And like the thing is, at this point, I'm sure that arguing with your brainwashed MAGA uncle is not gonna get anywhere productive. If they are still on the MAGA train at this point, I genuinely don't know what would wake them up and make them see it from a different perspective. I don't know. But there's a whole other demographic of people that are good-hearted people with good morals that do not agree with what's happening with the Trump administration, but are just not politically engaged enough to really indulge themselves in all of the information or have conversations about it with people in their lives. I think that demographic of people is far more than we acknowledge. Yes, there are people who support Trump and are on the MAGA train and are fucking insane. Those people exist. I have to believe that there is significantly more people who are just unengaged. They get overwhelmed with politics. They put their hands up. They turn the other way. Even thinking about people that I know, I can name a couple people who fall into this category. People that I believe to be good-hearted people. People that I've had political conversations with, that I've sat down with and talked to, and they get angry, they get upset, they get curious, but they just don't necessarily engage with politics outside of my relationship to them or outside of their relationships with other friends who are interested in talking about and dissecting politics. I think that those people are the ones that we really need to be calling in right now. People who probably self-describe as liberal, maybe they only vote in the presidential elections and otherwise they really don't know what's going on. Or even people who self-describe as being apolitical, which is crazy. I don't know how you can describe yourself as being apolitical in 2026, but people still do it. Maybe you know someone who does. These are the people that I think we need to be focusing on having conversations with and encouraging them to be courageous and to have difficult conversations, kind of boosting people up, making them feel like they are smart enough to engage with this kind of material and that their courage is needed in the conversation. And that's something we can do right now. That's something we should always be doing, right? Engaging with the people that we know, pushing them to be more engaged with their other friends. It's very easy to get overwhelmed and to just close your eyes and look away because it's too emotional. It's too painful. But right now, we need people to open their eyes and fucking look at this shit in the face. Midterms are happening this year. Voting isn't everything, but it is something. And right now we need anything. Pay attention to local and statewide politics. Pay attention to your midterms. What is going to be on the ballot for you in your state? Clock the fuck in. Show up for your communities and protect your neighbors. Again, going toe to toe with your brainwashed MAGA uncle might not yield you any results, but having a conversation with his unopinionated passive girlfriend might. Remind people that they can decide this is the line for them at any moment. They can decide that they made the wrong choice and that they are changing their mind about Trump and his administration at any point. It is not too late. As much as I am someone to be like, fuck you if you voted for him, and fuck you if you're conservative, and fuck you if you're apolitical, and just fuck you in general. As much as I am someone who can be very passionate and uninterested in engaging with people like that, I will always believe that people can change, and I hope that people do. It is never too late to look at what's happening and say, I will not stand for this. This is not what I believe in. I am seeing what's happening, and I do not fucking agree with it. I blocked my MAGA uncle on fucking everything. I have no contact with him anymore. So I don't know what he's posting about on his Facebook page at the current moment, but I imagine not good things. I imagine that he is the exact type of person who's on Facebook writing about, well, they should have just come here legally if they didn't want this to happen. Justifying this kind of treatment simply because of someone's immigration status. These people love to pretend that they are real fucking patriots who give a shit about the law when they actively voted for a rapist, a pedophile, and a felon. Like, let's just call it what it is. You are a piece of shit. You are a piece of shit. You don't give a fuck about the law. Because if you did, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. What is happening? Okay, let me get this straight. You give a fuck about the law when people come to the U.S. seeking refugee, just your neighbor who's here trying to make a better life for themselves. That is well over the line. Pedophilia, though? Who cares? We care so much about breaking the law when it's punishing people that look different than you. And somehow these people are just closing their eyes when a man with a lot of power who looks like them and represents their interests is, 100% confirmed to have been engaging in a pedophilic sex ring. Yeah, awesome. You guys are real patriots. America the brave. You are the good guys. Don't worry. You guys definitely aren't evil, for sure. Anyways, I understand how difficult it can be to look at all of this information, to wake up every day and stay up to date and to find ways to process and digest all of it and figure out how you can help and what role you can play. I understand that it's overwhelming. Therapy is awesome. If you can be in therapy, I think it's always a good place to be because we need to keep looking at what's happening. We need to stay up to date. We cannot let overwhelm stop us from being courageous. Call your senators. 5calls.org is a fantastic website. You literally just plug in your zip code and it gives you a list of your representatives, what phone numbers to call, what to say once you're on the phone with them or when you leave a voicemail. It's very helpful. They have scripts for a whole bunch of different issues. Abolishing ICE is right at the top of their website. You'll see it immediately when you go to 5calls.org. If you do one thing today, do that. 5 minutes, 2 phone calls. One step at a time. If we can commit to doing that today, I believe that when you wake up tomorrow, you might feel a little bit more like you have some agency to help with change. Little things. Make some phone calls. Engage in your communities. It might not be everything, but it's something, and a little bit of something engaging with your communities can help make this feel a little bit lighter, even if it's just that much, an itty bitty amount. It does help. I knew this episode was going to be a little bit more of an intense one, but it did feel important to focus the majority of this episode on the ICE raids happening in Minnesota and nationwide. I always want you guys to know where I stand and what the rules are in this corner of the internet, how you are expected to treat people in these comment sections. I love you guys. I'm so happy you're here. Please take care of yourselves. I am going to do a quick little post show over on the Patreon if you'd like to join us over there for something silly, but this is where I'm going to end today's episode. Please take care of yourselves. Smooch your cats on the head for me. Love, love, love you. I'll see you next week.